Hello, my name is Sogi of VLR.gg, and I'm joined here with nephh from Bilibili Gaming for our live Champions Seoul coverage following the Bilibili Gaming versus KRU Esports group stage matchup. Thank you for accepting today's interview, nephh. First off, commiserations on the loss and elimination here today. So I want to start off by asking that today's match was for elimination, and you went up against KRU. After watching their opening game against DRX, did you have any thoughts on the matchup?
Against DRX, sorry?
Yeah, like against with like impressions of KRU after they played DRX.
Before they came to Champions, I was keeping track of their games in America, and I think that they are a very strong team. You know, they were if I'm not wrong, the third seed. And they brought pretty close games against Leviathan as well, which are a very strong team. And I know that their style was more of aim heavy, and I think that's where we failed miserably today.
Thank you. So Wisely said in today's opening interview that, quote unquote, if KRU can play as well as Fnatic, then we'll go home. However, you're not. So, but judging by kind of that statement, how confident was the team in today's matchup?
I think for both games against Fnatic and KRU, I think for both games we were both pretty confident going into the game. But we knew that both were a very strong team, and you know, it was not easy to take both victories. And I guess coming in today into KRU, we thought that it would be a much closer game. And after the veto came out as well, we thought that we had a really good shot of winning today's game. But I guess the first map, our defense just was very lackluster. We were not good at adapting to what they were doing, and for the second map, I think we just got out-aimed. Yeah.
Right, so it did kick off on Lotus as well. So you previously lost 4-13 to Fnatic on Lotus in your opening match, and you've had a few days of downtime ever since. So from that Fnatic match, what were some of the mistakes that you try to fix in the downtime that you've had?
I think that against Fnatic, we were running a Cypher on their map as well, and then after the game we thought like it was not playing to our strengths, right? And we have a really good Viper player, and that's why we decided to change the comp. And I think that helped us a lot in our T side. And I think we could have won more rounds, but we got thrifted around, I think, 1 or 2 times as well. And yeah, we knew the defense side was going to be hard with our comp, but we thought we would be okay. We were able to fill in the holes of this comp, right? But I guess we weren't as prepared as we really thought we were.
But going into the actual game itself, outside of Fury and everything, defense, obviously, as you just said, it was kind of hard, and it kind of showed it didn't start your way. You were initially up 7-5, but the first 4 rounds did go into KRU's way, and then Bale called a timeout. So what did he kind of discuss by then to try to, not let things get too out of hand?
I mean, this round we lost, fine, and subsequently ecoed, and then the first buy round, I think that's when the problem really started. Kind of forgot our game plan, and there were smokes that were being put in the wrong place and positions not taken up correctly by supposed players, I guess. Like it's a team problem in the end. And after that, the timeout was called. Bill told us that it's time to change things up, and then we tried. But in the end, I think it was the round directly after the timeout, our first gun round. I made a very big mistake. I didn't fall back into B heaven, and I was still stuck in the A link. And yeah, I think that's where it really snowballed from there. And yeah, I think that loss was on me to blame.
Lotus did kind of end 9-13, but as a whole, do you think there was anything else that kind of went wrong?
I think coming into after the first half ended, we were 7-5 leading into the second half. I think other than the problems that I mentioned, I guess maybe it's just the lack of time that we had for this new comp, which is not an excuse, by the way. It's just how I really feel. I think they were really sharp as well, and I think that our own individual performance of our five players as well weren't up to standard, and yeah, I think that's where we lost.
So heading to Icebox now, BOG only picked Icebox 3 times throughout Split 2, and the map was also usually a second ban whenever it came to map vetoes. So why did BOG choose to pick Icebox as their map pick in today's match despite not having many reps previously?
I think we picked Icebox because we knew that it was a map that KRU was not definitely very comfortable on. Well, we were feeling pretty confident in that map, judging by our performance in scrims and whatever. And I think that it was a correct pick to pick the map, even though the scoreline states otherwise, right? Yeah, I guess the first map loss really affected us, and I think that going into the second map, and our game plan was to play post plants, right, which we planted the spike many times. But because of our lack of communication during these situations, I think that eventually led us to last only getting 3 rounds.
And Mel did also mention after the first map in an interview with the mainstream that the same issues about communication. So like how major of an effect do you think these communication issues that you and Bale kind of mentioned just now, how big of an issue was communication really in today's match?
I think that today communication was part of it. I think the main problem was that we really just weren't up to standard in our own performance, like our aim, decision making. I think although our comms was very bad today after the first map, I think that back in VCTCN it was not that punishable because the teams were like not as good in as the teams at champions obviously. And I think that these teams like KRU and Fnatic really punished us, and this is a learning experience, and I think that now we know the importance of improving our communication. Yeah.
Thank you. So unfortunately, with the loss now, your season is kind of over. Your contract ends with Bilibili Gaming after the season ends. So what do you think will be next year in the future? You don't really have to say too much, but like, what are you kind of thinking for yourself?
I'm not really sure. I mean, taking a big risk coming to Bilibili and playing VCTC and then moving to China in general, right? I think it's time to give myself a short break before I think about what's next. And yeah, I think I'm just really burnt out from competing over the past 3 months. And I mean, coming in a new team and making the champions, I think that's a really good accomplished, but I think we could have done better. Yeah.
Definitely. And speaking of champions and qualifying, you're the first Singaporean that's not from PaperX to qualify for an international event, and much less champions as that. So how does it feel to kind of represent NYSG as the first team that, or player even, that's not really PaperX to kind of make it here?
I felt really proud knowing that, I was like sort of, other than PaperX, like I was still able to compete even if I'm not in PaperX, right? I was really happy at first. Then I realized that after today's performance and the past game, I realized that, well, maybe I have really, I wish I could have done better to put MOSG on the world stage. Yeah.
And lastly here, so your appearance in Champions also comes back of an unfortunate end to your 2023 season. You previously won Ascension with Bleed until National Service kind of came on the horizon, even though you were deferred. So being in Ascension to now proving yourself internationally, what are your main takeaways from 2024 as kind of a whole?
I think that Ascension was really a big deal. I think in a sense it's the biggest tournament of the year actually, if you're not in franchise. And like, I learned a lot from Ascension. When I first played Ascension, I was very nervous. I was shaking during every game, at the start of every game. And I think that, coming into franchise for the first time, I think nothing really like faced me. I was not really panicky in Champions nor in group stage back in VCTCN, right? I think I've learned a lot, mainly from Ascension, and I think that, let's hope that from what I learned from this year and my past year in Ascension, will bring forward next year, and I hope to compete in franchise again next year.
Hopefully so. But with that, thank you so much, Neff. Good luck for the future.